Hello, everyone. We'll talk about microaggressions in workplaces. Remember, these aggressions are an obstacle to an overall development of the organizations. This microaggression might mask uh, the good work that the organization is striving to do around it. It might mask the opportunities of growth for the organization and for the right people sticking with the organization thereby. So we need to understand what is microaggression. Remember, in an ideal workforces, you have people from different background, different colors, different sex, different genders, different ethnicity, different religion, different language, as in the original things. A glorifying example is a Google. Probably I've given you this example because this is a mammoth organization and everybody would recognize it without being partial to any other organization. Now, what are we looking into here is the psychological safety more than anything else. It's critical to make a team work. Psychological safety. Psychological safety is nothing but shared belief, nothing the shared belief of members who are working together. They are in it for a safe of interpersonal risk talent. A sense of confidence that the team will not embarrass, reject, punish someone for speaking up. It describes a team climate characterized by interpersonal trust, mutual respect, with which people are comfortable being themselves. That is what psychological safety, where I can be on my own skin. As I'm sure about it, if you are watching this video from the comfort of your home, you are in your most natural safe in your environment. That is what psychological safety would be doing around it. Can we have that? Can we mimic that home environment of yours in the workplace? So that is what psychological safety would be best defined as. Or define microaggression. It's a brief and a commonplace daily verbal, behavioral, environmental indignities. Remember the insult that I'm talking around it, whether it's intentional or unintentional, that communicates hostile, derogatory, or negative slight towards a marginalized group, as the case might be. This is what we need to understand and try to avoid thereby. Behaviors or statements that do not necessarily reflect the malicious intent, but which nevertheless can inflict insult or injury altogether. That needs to be understood. So behavioral statement that do not necessarily reflect malicious intent, but which nevertheless inflict injuries or insults. So you might be talking or casually talking about something else, which probably I care a lot about here. So that is somewhere down the corner, you are hurting me without even knowing the fact that your intentions to hurt me or not. So it is that which is known as micro aggressions. That is the smallest of aggression that comes around it. I might form a wrong notion or probably some kind of negative attributions towards you. So that is aggressions. So what is your intent versus what is your impact? Intent was not there, but impact it made cross. So you need to understand. You just look like a real woman. Look at what you are like. But this is blended, right? But if the same statement with the same meaning would have been said, trans women are really women, probably it is adding insult altogether. So that's what we are starting to look around. So what are my structured environment? You look people there is completely 60-degree turnovers from one place to another places. The structural environmental that comes around it. Had it been this or the other way around, or everybody is facing towards each other. It's a circular bed, circular table, and everybody is working around and everybody is facing one another. It's a structural thing that it has been taken into note. Define micro aggressions. Oh, wow, you suck at math. Now, this is something which probably you are seeing from one person to another person, and that person might be a girl. But probably the moment you see girls basically suck at math, you are blemishing the whole gender altogether. Now, this is what microorganism would be talking around here, and that needs to be understood. Defining microaggressions as the case might be. Microaggression is biasness. Microaggression is biasness with intent or without intent, without intention. What are they? They are stereotyping. They are insensitive remarks. They are belittling jokes. They are non-inclusive languages, justifying biasness by seeking out like-minded people, accepting negative information, screening out positive information altogether. This is what we are looking forward to. So individual acts of prejudices are bullying, ridicule, name calling, social avoidances, slurs or epithets as dehumanizing. From biasness, you become a little bit more of an acts of a prejudices. You have that inherent feeling in between in you. Your thought processes become completely negative or prejudice towards one particular aspect of life, may I say so? Then comes the discrimination. This is where you say you reflect everything into a black and white. Nothing is in between gray. So you will utterly, without knowing the whole reality, whole fact, you will paint somebody black altogether for no fault of his or her. And that is what discrimination is all about. It can be economic discrimination, it can be employment discrimination, it can be educational discrimination. We are talking about political discrimination, housing discrimination, the segregation that has been there. This is what we need to avoid it. Then the bias motivated violences. As an individual, we have murder, rape, assault, threats. Bias motivated violences, as far as community is concerned, is arson, terrorism, vandalism, desecration, as the case might be. And then the worst thing of all is genocides, the act or intent to deliberately and systematically annihilate an entire community, entire race, entire people is what genocide is all about. It. Remember, this becomes extremely negative as we go on the top. It becomes either completely left aligned or right aligned as far as point of views are concerned. So we start from biasness, your thing, your probably your fact that you are stereotyping certain things, which eventually might become prejudices, which further might lead to discrimination, and then it becomes deliberated attempted biasness to a complete eradication, or should I say genocides altogether. So defining microaggressions, what are they? Just giving it to a sexual objectification, or let's say definition as reducing women to their physical appearances, assuming that bodies should be controlled and commodified by men. And there are a lot of examples around there. Second class citizen treating a lesser people or a group, or probably a non citizen of that country as a second class citizen. Non when I say non citizen, a person who does not originally originate from that particular country, believe that women should not have the same access to the resources and probably the opportunities as men do. Sexist language is the assumptions of inferiority, languages that infers superiority of men, assumption that women inherit inability to do a certain task. Restrictive gender roles believe that women must play a certain particular role. Denial or reality of sexism believes that sexism exists. Invisibility, not including, in fact, overlooking, in fact, getting blinded totally towards women, not recognizing women at all in the workplace or in the world. And sexist jokes are crude jokes about women, rape, domestic violence, and so on and so forth. So what we are looking into it, if you look, this is I'm just encircling everything that men want to collaborate, or lady physicists or Tory physicists, as the case might be. An international student asks why US people, the women are called as chicks, and things like that. This is completely derogatory and a sexist jokes, if I may say so. So microaggressions, as per definition, remember you are not perfect. I must first, before telling you that you are not perfect, I should also remember that I am also not perfect. I do not have the complete gamut of knowledge. I do not look the most beautiful or the most handsome fellow. I might not be very conversant with the languages. I might not appreciate all kinds of food. So I am not perfect, right? So that is one thing that needs to be understood. No one is perfect, because this microaggression points out to the cultural difference in a way that puts recipient non-conformity into sharp belief, often causing anxiety and crisis of belonging on the part of, let's say, anybody or marginalized group. It can even induce imposter syndrome or a stereotype threats, as the case might be. What we are looking out here is racial aggression, the psychological stress and the physiological responses. What happens if people are calling you inferior day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out? Every moment that you are existing, people are calling you by names and derogatory names. That so it's a psychological problem that builds around it. And then you have a physiological stresses. You might go into depression or you may retaliate violently. These are what? These are nothing but emotional or behavioral responses. These are going into depression or retaliating violently is your emotional responses about your physiological stress. So effect of microaggressions is all about anxiety, depression, substance abuse is when you get into drugs, alcohol, and so on and so forth. Avoidance of community, social schools or workplaces, academic respect, instructor relations, your boss relations, social acceptance. Respondent as a recipient, now as a supervisor and a resident. How do you speak with one another? How do you relate to one another? Evaluate the situation. Will this be a productive conversation? What is your current level of expectation of success? Are you safe? Am I safe? Am I able to engage non-emotionally? First and foremost is protect your energy, have some sort of self-respect, as the case might be. When engaging, assume the offense are not with intent altogether. That is very true. Needs to be understood time and again. Explain how slightly it might be interpreted by others. Allow a follow-up questions and explain how the person can do better. If the perpetrator are not willing to listen, file a complaint. Definitely ensure sensitize the upper management. Responding to a bystander, what happens? Evaluate the situation as a bystander. What you're looking, your safety and well-being is also important too. Might be two other persons are in the midst of an argument or probably in a tense situation. As a bystander, you should ensure that you should not get into some sort of physical danger. So while engaging, follow some guidelines as recipient. Speak with them. See, this is where the bystander standard will be coming around it with the perpetuator in private, if possible and if necessary. That is what is required. As a perpetrator, what you're looking at, learn from the discomfort. Take responsibility of your action. The person correcting you deserve to be treated with respect, regardless of how you perceive the correction is all about it. Briefly apologize, step back, promise to do better. You, once you step back from the situation, you will understand the situation in a much better fashion, in a different light. Follow through your promises to do better, perhaps. Learn from your own mistake. That is very important. So, as an organization, what should you look into it? We should do nothing but train. Keep on training. Sensitize. Sensitization training is to be required. Be voluntary. Be research driven. Stereotype disconfirming information. Discuss awareness of biasness to avoid negative effects. Encourage people to speak up about their uncomfortable position, because once they come out of their shell, once they start disclosing, people would appreciate what kind of stress they went around it. Include numerical representation of information, local climate indicators, as the case might be. Recognize and appreciate differences, multiculturalism versus color blindedness. Use inclusive, non-confrontational languages, as we say so. What are we looking at? Acknowledging that everyone holds biases. This is what needs to be understood. So, microaggression versus the ideal workplace. Psychological safety, a shared belief by every one of us within the team that everything is safe and secure. a sense of confidence that the team will not get embarrassed, will not reject your ideas, will not punish someone if just for speaking up, just for contributing, no matter how minuscule the contribution is all, or should I say, no matter how wrong the contribution are all about. First, try to respect them, and this will bring an inclusivity. It describes a team climate characterized by interpersonal trust, mutual trust, in which people are comfortable being themselves. Remember, microaggression, if left unchecked, are detrimental to the physiological safety. It gets violence, remember, from biasness to prejudices. And the last step was genocide. That is what we are doing, going around it. So let us not allow microaggressions to grow. It should be curtailed right at the nip. But if utilized as an opportunity for growth, microaggression can serve as an opportunity to enhance physiological safety. With this, I come to an end of this video. Thank you for watching this video till the end.